when Cary Grant is so hot that you jeopardize the Cold War. This is North by Northwest. Have you ever been to Mount Rushmore?
I've never been.
Me neither.
Michigan?
No. Isn't it in South Dakota?
Oh, yeah, it is. It's South Dakota. I was just talking to a friend recently about how, like, if someone had a gun to my head and they had a map of the U.S. and I had to name all the states, I would get blown away.
Why? Because you haven't been to any?
No, because I don't remember geography from like fifth grade when I had to memorize all the states. Because there's so many, especially
50.
The further east you go, they're smaller and they're more clustered. Could you name all of them?
No way. But remember when we had to on a map?
Yeah, of course. But you forget that was years and years ago for me.
That was like the most short-term memory thing. Like I memorized it the night before.
Yeah, it's crazy. Hello.
Hey.
Welcome to Seen and Heard. This is the podcast all about the sight and sound greatest films of all time list. I'm Greg.
I'm Jackie.
And we're on the sight and sound list this week, ping-ponging back and forth. We just did a monstrosity last week by Jean-Luc Godard called Histoire du Cinéma, which is sandwiched in between two Hitchcock giants.
Yeah.
So Rear Window, and now this week from 1959 is North by Northwest.
Yeah. So Rear Window and this film, North by Northwest, are both tied for number 53 on the 2012.
Oh my God. Yeah, there's so
that's
many
why
ties.
It's a ping pong where it's like in between because we're like smack dab in the middle now. And then it's number 45 on the 2012 list. So it came up almost 10 spots.
On the 2022 list?
Yeah.
Oh,
Why
okay.
did I say 2012?
I think you said 2025.
On the 2022.
People know what you meant.
On the new one.
The new one. Before we get into... Also, I just want to say, too, if you haven't heard our Rear Window episode, go take a listen. I think it's one of my favorite episodes we've done in recent memory. And this episode is going to suffer the fact that Gary, who's our guest on that episode, is not here. He elevated the Rear Window episode so much. Like, there's so much that we would not have brought up or known if Gary wasn't there.
Gary is so cool.
But, like, I think between the two, Rear Window is the denser film. So I think maybe I'm glad that we had him on for that one.
For sure. This is the more, like, popcorn, thriller, fun movie.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Rear Window's really fun too, but...
Well, before we get into North by Northwest, Jackie, what else have you been watching this last week?
If you look at my letterbox, it's so funny because here are my last 4 movies that I saw. I'm Still Here, which I mentioned last week. Histoire du Cinéma. Austin Powers.
The first
International Man of Mystery.
Nice.
And Mrs. Doubtfire. Those are my last 4 watched.
Yeah, you got some good ones in there.
Yeah, but like I've seen 2 movies since last weekend. They've been complete like comfort movies.
Yeah, I love both of those.
After Histoire du Cinéma, I was really traumatized and I just wanted to watch, just fun, nostalgic movies.
I don't blame you.
I know. And Mrs. Doubtfire is so good.
Oh,
I mean, Austin Powers is too. I love Austin Powers, but like...
The first one's the best.
Yeah, I like the second one too.
Second one's good. The third one goes off the rails a little bit.
But Mrs. Doubtfire is so good. It is so great. And I just miss movies like that. I really miss them.
I do too. They don't make those anymore.
No, and this time around was the first time I really I don't want to say identified with, but like really felt the mom a lot.
Sally Field.
Yeah, and I was watching it with my
Miranda.
brother. Yeah. I was watching it with my brother and my brother's girlfriend, Emmy. Hi, Emmy. And they were so against the mom. They were so mean. And I was like, guys, imagine being married to him.
Yeah, exactly. My begonias.
Yeah, you ate my begonias. It's so good. So many lines. So much heart. So much laugh. So many laughs.
I think someone like Chris Columbus doesn't get enough recognition as being a great filmmaker because I think something like that and Home Alone movies and
I agree. Harry Potter 1 and 2.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Come on.
And people maybe the opinion is changing now. We're going so off topic, but I've always loved those first two Harry Potters.
I love
a lot
them.
of people be like, skip the first two.
No
like,
way.
what?
Those are vital.
He set the whole tone.
He set the whole tone. And what I love about the Harry Potter series is that it has a different director. It had several different directors, but still those first two really set the tone and still like stand so strongly as like, okay, those are the ones where they're kids. Like those are the ones where they're young and the world is still bright and beautiful, and then it gets dark, and it's so good.
Yeah. No,
yeah.
I love Mrs. Doubtfire, and it's one of the key movies from my childhood.
Me too.
One of the best movies of the 90s too.
I agree.
It's so good, and the way that you feel so much in it.
I know.
Like, it's really, you feel stuff.
I know, but it's funny.
Yeah, it's really
It is freaking funny.
Oh, it's so good.
I know. What have you been watching?
Oh, I did see one movie for the first time called Chilly Scenes of Winter, the Joan Micklin Silver movie, which was pretty good. John Hurd, speaking of Home Alone, the dad from Home Alone, it's the young version of him, and he's looking back on a relationship, and he's kind of flashing back, and he's depressed in Utah while it snows. So that's the movie. It was good.
Sounds up your alley.
It is up my alley. I rewatched James and the Giant Peach, which I hadn't seen.
I love
in like 10 years or something. But it's really great. It's really great. I think the ending is a little Disney-fied. But other than that,
so good.
It's a fantastic movie.
Great movie. I love it.
And then I rewatched Terry Gilliam's Tideland because we did it for the film club. Because Josh, who joins film club, we've done like a member month where everyone brings like one of their favorite movies to the film club.
Yeah.
And this is like his favorite movie. He's super vocal about it. And I hadn't seen it since it came out. So I rewatched Tideland and liked it a lot more than the first time I saw it, which was now like 20 years ago. But really good. Great. Good movie. Yeah, not my favorite Gilliam, but a worthwhile one.
Nice.
So that's been my week. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah. I think we were both recovering. Well, you didn't finish Smart to Cinema.
Yeah, I tried to get more in there, but yeah. Anyway.
All right.
Let's do it. Should we do it?
Yeah.
From 1959, this is Alfred Hitchcock's North by Northwest.
North by Northwest was released in 1959. It was directed by Alfred Hitchcock, written by Ernest Lemon, cinematography by Robert Brooks, and music by Bernard Herrmann. Roger Thornhill is a Madison Avenue ad executive who is mistaken for a man named George Kaplan while having drinks at the Plaza Hotel. He is abducted and taken to the house of Lester Townsend. Townsend tries to interrogate Thornhill, despite his insisting that they have got the wrong man. Townsend tries to stage Thornhill's death by getting him drunk and putting him behind the wheel, but he's picked up by the police. After the police don't believe him, Thornhill goes to the UN where Townsend allegedly works. When he pages for Townsend, a different man shows up, completely oblivious to what's happened. Before Thornhill can question him further, he is stabbed in the back with a throwing knife by one of the goons who picked up Thornhill. Thornhill is accused of the murder and goes on the run, eventually ending up on a train bound for Chicago. Aboard the train, he meets Eve Kendall, a mysterious woman who takes a fancy to Thornhill and helps him by hiding him in her private compartment all night. In Chicago, he has Eve call the hotel where George Kaplan is allegedly staying, and she returns with instructions on how to meet him. Thornhill follows the directions to a deserted highway where he is almost killed by a shooter in a crop dusting plane. He makes it back to town and confronts Eve. He follows her to an auction where he sees her with the man who abducted him, whose real name is actually Philip Van Dam. Thornhill feels even more betrayed when he realizes Eve and Van Dam are a couple. He gets himself arrested to avoid being killed by Van Dam's men. Once in custody, he is handed off to a government agent who tells him that Van Dam is a Soviet spy. Kaplan is not a real man, rather an elaborate plant to protect the real agent on the inside, Eve. Thornhill agrees to play along to protect her. Thornhill meets Van Damme at Mount Rushmore, where Van Damme has a house. Eve shoots Thornhill with blanks in a staged murder to assure Van Damme doesn't suspect her. She's meant to leave with him that night, but Thornhill doesn't want her to, and sneaks into Van Damme's house to stop her. He overhears Van Damme and his right-hand man, Leonard, confess to hiding microfilm in a statuette they bought at the auction, and that they have discovered Eve and plan to throw her off the plane. Thornhill and Eve manage to escape onto Mount Rushmore with the statuette. Before Leonard can kick them off the cliff, he is shot by the police. Thornhill and Eve, now married, enjoy their honeymoon on the train back to New York. The film stars Cary Grant as Roger Thornhill, Eva Marie Saint as Eve Kendall, James Mason as Philip Van Damme, and Martin Landau as Leonard. This was Hitchcock's follow-up to Vertigo from 1958, which of course is number 1 on the Sight and Sound list. And the original title for this film was The Man on Lincoln's Nose.
Or In Lincoln's Nose?
I thought it was on.
Oh, maybe. He
originally imagined the man as a traveling salesman rather than a cool Madison Avenue ad exec. So Hitchcock had agreed to make an MGM film. This would be the only MGM film he made. It was supposed to be a book adaptation written for the screen by Lemon. But Lemon didn't think that the book was right. He wasn't happy and he wanted to quit. But Hitchcock was like, I really like you. Let's just make something else. I have this idea in my brain. And it's about this guy who ends up like, there's a chase on Mount Rushmore. So Lemon was like, cool, let's do it. And there was also an idea from the work of a journalist. So Otis Guernsey wrote something about World War II British intelligence creating fictitious agents to throw Germans off their tracks. So they bought the rights to the story for $10,000. And they took all these ideas that Hitchcock had, and Lemon wrote the screenplay. Before it was a crop duster, they had wanted the villains to somehow create a tornado that would kill Thornhill.
Oh. I can imagine how they scrapped that.
Yeah. A tornado. Twisted the original Twisters.
Yeah. Twister, Jackie.
I know. MGM wanted Sid Charisse for the role, but Hitchcock insisted on Eva Marie Saint. If you'll recall from our Rear Window episode, it was Eva Marie Saint's role in On the Waterfront that was originally Grace Kelly's that Grace Kelly turned down to do Rear Window.
Yeah.
And now it's ironic that Eva Marie Saint then ended up a Hitchcock blonde herself.
Well, she's like, I made a big mistake. No, she didn't.
No, she won an Oscar for On the Waterfront.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Sid Charisse isn't blonde, so she obviously couldn't play this role.
Right.
Hitchcock discovered Martin Landau when he appeared in a play with Edward G. Robinson. Hitchcock was just there to see Edward G. Robinson, but he saw this actor and he really liked him, and that's how he was cast. The film's location photography was shot chronologically, first in New York City, then Chicago, then Rapid City, South Dakota. Only the daytime establishing shots of the parking lot and I think that like one welcome center were actually shot at Mount Rushmore, but not like the inside of the welcome center where they do the stage shooting. In New York, you have the Plaza Hotel, the United Nations headquarters. The shot of Cary Grant exiting the taxi and going up the stairs was shot with a hidden camera because the UN read the script and they were like, no, we don't want you to shoot this here. So that was hidden cameras, but it was like Alfred Hitchcock and Cary Grant in a taxi pulling right up to the United Nations and just getting out.
That's really cool.
I know.
But at this point in Hitchcock's career, he was doing some like guerrilla stuff.
Exactly. The building in the opening sequence, that's a real building. It's 430 Park Avenue. And of course, Saul Bass is the graphic artist that designed the opening credits. In Chicago, it was shot at LaSalle Street Station, the Ambassador East Hotel, Chicago Midway Airport. Like, I didn't know the airport was a real location. I thought like, okay, that surely must be not. But the Van Damme house was not real. It was designed to look like a Frank Lloyd Wright house. It was matte painting exteriors, and the interiors were Culver City Studios.
But
it's such a cool house. Hitchcock wanted to shoot the crop duster sequence in Iowa or Indiana, but they couldn't find the right location. So it was shot near Bakersfield, a place called Grace's Highway. The crop duster was a World War II plane that was often converted into crop dusting. Like they did that after World War II. So it was a real one. It was piloted by Bob Coe, who was a real crop duster from California. The 20th Century Limited, the train that they take from New York to Chicago, that was a real line that ran from 1902 to 1967. It could take you from New York to Chicago. Cary Grant's suit was ranked by GQ as the best of all time in film history.
Wow.
One line by Eva Marie Saint is dubbed in the dining car scene. I don't know if you noticed it. I noticed it. So she says, "I never discuss love on an empty stomach." The real line was, "I never make love on an empty stomach." So, I mean, I can't wait to talk about all the fun sexual innuendos, but that was the one that got censored.
Funny.
Even though they say make love like later.
I know.
It's so silly. And yeah, this movie was a box office and critical success. It was nominated for 3 Oscars: Best Screenplay, Best Art Direction, and Best Editing. Those are
amazing.
Facts.
Yeah. It's a storied
it's just
film.
So interesting. Yeah, and I can't wait to talk about just how on location this film was shot.
Yeah.
For a guy like Hitchcock.
Absolutely.
Who wants to go first?
I do think it's one of the all-time great titles.
Yes. Yeah. For sure.
Even though I don't know that his direction is North and Northwest.
No, Northwest is the airline company that you get just like a glimpse of at the airport. It says like Northwest Airlines, but Hitchcock has said about the title, he said it's a fantasy. The whole film is epitomized in the title. There is no such thing as North by Northwest on the compass.
Right. No, but that's what I love so much about it.
Yeah.
It's so evocative.
Yeah.
It's like, this is an adventure story. You know, the whole movie is in the title. That's a stroke of genius.
Yeah. It's
maybe his best title. Maybe.
Yeah. I like Vertigo.
Yeah. I do too.
North by Northwest is a once-in-a-lifetime title.
I think so. I first saw this when I was in, oh boy. I was an early teen. I was probably late middle school or maybe early high school, but I want to say middle school. And I remember being on Amazon.com circa 2000 or 2001 and browsing DVDs. And, I remember they had a snippet about North by Northwest and it said, one of the most enjoyable movies ever made. And I was like, huh? And I just like added it to my cart and bought it.
Enjoyable.
Yeah. I mean, what's there to say about this? I think as far as like Hitchcock's escapist films go, it's absolutely his greatest.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much depth to it.
Yeah.
I think that's its charm though, is like it doesn't pretend to be, you know, this is sandwiched in between Vertigo and Psycho.
Yeah.
Which are very dense. Very, very dense, meaty movies.
Yeah.
And this is breezy and light, and it's just pure entertainment at its finest. So I love this film. I've seen it many, many times over the years. And I think as the years go on, my appreciation for it grows. I think when I first saw it, I thought, okay, well, I love some of this, but some of it's confusing too, and it's kind of long. And then over the years, I've like really, really fallen deeply in love with it. It's not quite my favorite Hitchcock movie. We just did North by Northwest. I think that's certainly up there, but Vertigo still stands.
Rear Window.
Yes, Rear Window. Wait, what did I say?
North by Northwest.
Oh, yeah. Rear Window, which is great. But Vertigo is still my favorite. But I mean, this is just pure entertainment at its finest. And I think too, like, to watch Hitchcock's career, he did 39 Steps, he did Saboteur, and then this is almost like the next entry in this series of like a man on a run kind of film. And the man on the run format for Hitchcock, like he excelled at those. Mm-hmm. And I think because the momentum is ideal for a film, it's just like, and too, thinking about how this genre evolved in the 70s, you had something like Marathon Man. In the 90s, you had something like The Fugitive. I'm struggling to think of like a modern example of.
Weren't there a bunch of like 2000s movies where it's like actiony and it's like Ben Affleck is in it, and
maybe. Like, I know there are some like Jason Statham, maybe like
where it's like I'm the wrong guy. I mean, got the wrong guy.
The wrong guy / man on the run kind of movies. It's a classic genre, but I just think it lends itself. Like Hitchcock excelled at this, and yeah, and I think too. We said it recently. we had someone ask us what our favorite Bernard Herrmann score was for a Hitchcock film, and
this is your favorite.
This one's my favorite because I love.
It is beautiful.
It's like this tango. It's this like, what am I going to get into with this movie? It's adventurous, but it's its own thing. It's just like those opening titles with Saul Bass and the lines of the New York building,
good.
and it's just like, wow.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
So I love it.
Yeah.
What about you?
I also love this movie. I think that it is the most perfect, like, popcorny summer blockbuster, fun adventure. It's just like, how can you have so many memorable moments in one movie?
Yeah.
Like, so many, endlessly. There are so. It's the kind of movie that I look at and I'm like, what's not to love? Truly, what is not to love? I think that the plot has a few like major holes in it that I'm glad to talk about, but it really doesn't matter. Like, this movie's pure magic. Come on. I think that this movie's like the blueprint for James Bond, right?
It is 100%.
And also like Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yeah.
And I love that it's a location heavy film. And I love that because like Hitchcock's whole thing was always like, he wants to control everything and everything is very artificial and there's rear projection and there's all this. And just the fact that this is like out on the streets, like the second it starts and I'm like, oh my God, that's actually Manhattan. I just love that about it. And in the trailer, it's so funny. In the trailer for this, Hitchcock, it's like an advertisement for Hitchcock's travel agency. Like, he's telling people about like his new travel agency and where they're going to go with this movie. And it's just so fun.
He was great at trailers.
Yeah.
He would always do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think the one for Psycho is like a tour of the house.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also I've always wanted to have my own private compartment.
Me too. A sleeper car.
And I've always wanted to eat in a dining car. Like, I haven't done any of those yet. And I've been wanting to do that since I saw this movie like
Same.
years ago.
I'm right there with you.
Still hasn't happened to me, but hopefully it will. But yeah,
train culture is not a thing anymore, sadly.
I know.
Like it was in the middle of the century.
It's so cool. Just today, it's so funny because we've been talking about doing like a New Orleans, maybe Nashville, maybe like Charleston trip. And I'm like, maybe we could take the train. Because the flight was only like, I don't know, an hour. I'm like, oh, let's see what the train is. 33 hours from New Orleans to Charleston.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not in like a this movie way. In like you have to take a bus and then you have to go on this and then you have to go on that.
Yeah,
and of course the trains are not nice anymore. So like, yeah.
No, someday I would love to properly take, honestly, a train from coast to coast.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, get a sleeper car.
Yeah.
Post up in the dining car.
I also never realized that until this time around, that she did not have access to that bed above her. That she had to steal that like tool and hide him in there.
Oh.
Because he doesn't make up the bed. He even says it. Cary Grant even says it like, there's only one bed.
So they locked it because she didn't pay for the second one?
I think so, or because she's only one person.
Weird.
Right? I always just thought that was her bed.
Yeah.
That's how I remembered this.
Huh.
But she's like, look what I found, and it's the screwdriver to like open the bed, remember?
Right.
And then when the porter comes in, she goes, oh, porter, by the way, I found this. And it's the key.
That's right.
Which is I never noticed.
No, I never noticed that either.
But let's talk about, you kind of touched on this a little bit. I think it is kind of the main thing of this movie is just ordinary people caught up in this intrigue. Hitchcock's, one of his favorite genres. Also, The Wrong Man is literally this. The Man Who Knew Too Much. Again, like ordinary people. But what I love about this is like, it is Cold War, but they don't go into any details, no details about what the microfilm is. They don't even outright say he's a Russian spy. They just say he's an import-exporter of like secrets.
He's Vandalay Industries.
Exactly. That's what I remembered. And Van Damme.
You know, maybe.
That must have been it.
I think you're right.
This is the second time we've mentioned Seinfeld recently.
I mean, I feel like we do it all the time.
But it has to be, right?
I
Van
think
Damme,
so,
import-exporter?
I think you're right. No, but I love to touch on that. I do love that they're just like, look, it's secret microfilm. I
love it too.
And like, we don't need to get to the weeds about it.
I love it too.
Because it's just like, look, it's a spy thing.
Yes.
That's all you need to know.
I love it. And even the only time it's mentioned is when the government agent, who they call the professor, I don't know why, isn't he an agent? He goes, war is hell, Mr. Thornhill, even a cold one. Such a good line.
Yeah.
And like that's the only time they mention it. Rather than that, like everything is really dictated on personal feelings in this movie, which I think is what makes it so great. Like Eve wasn't a spy. She just fell in love with Van Damme. Like she met him one weekend and had nothing else to do. So she decided to fall in love.
Yeah.
And then she got caught up in this it's not like she was a spy to start with. And then Thornhill, of course, is just trying to clear his name. And he's not down to do this. But when he hears that Eve is in danger, that's when he's like, okay, I'll do it. Like everything is really driven by like love or sex, like whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And Van Damme too, like he doesn't want to believe that Eve is lying to him. And it leads to that amazing part where Leonard shoots him with the blank and he's like truly confused. I love that part.
And he punches him.
But again, yeah, it's all just because of people's feelings and their feelings getting caught up in this. Like I love Notorious. I love Notorious. And it's also driven by like personal feelings. But the villains are more complicated, and like Ingrid Bergman agrees to do the mission out of proving like she's not a Nazi. Like she feels bad that her dad was a Nazi, and so she wants to prove she's not a Nazi.
Right.
But in this, it's purely just like, oh, I love you. Oh, I love you too. Oh, you had sex with him. Like that is all that's driving this.
Yeah, it's a carnal movie.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to talk about it. And also just morally ambiguous in that like, the fact that the government agency is okay with letting this innocent man just like die.
Yeah.
Like, that is crazy to me.
Yeah.
And even Eve, like, Eve still sends him to his death in the crop duster, even though she, like, has feelings for him.
Yeah, of course.
I guess that aspect is, like, the sense of duty bit. But again, it goes to show, this movie is purely driven by, I believe, more feelings than, like, this, like, sense of duty.
Yeah, I think it's overflowing with that. It's bubbling over with this. And I think in some ways it is Hitchcock's most sort of felt movie.
I think so.
Like I'm struggling to think of one that's as much as this. And we've said this before on other episodes about how this is Hitchcock's horniest movie.
Oh
and
my
that's
God.
absolutely true. But yeah, I mean, you're right. All of the motivations are personal.
Yes.
The stakes are personal.
Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about how this movie got through the censors the way that it did.
It's kind of a
intact
miracle.
As it is. Yeah, one line was dubbed, but it is a miracle. Have two people ever been hornier in a Hays Code movie? I mean, I'm sure they have, but like
right.
This one is really acceptable.
This one you can feel the tension.
Here are some of my faves. Okay, when they're in the dining car and she realizes who he is and she's like, I won't say a word. And he's like, how come? And she's like, I told you, it's a nice face. And he goes, is that the only reason? Oh my God, this one's my favorite. She goes, it's going to be a long night, and I don't particularly like the book I started.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a great line. Also, just to note, Ernest Lehman, who wrote this, also wrote like The Sweet Smell of Success and stuff. So these like firecracker scripts are like great lines.
Yeah.
It's his
fantastic.
specialty.
And then what else does she say? Oh, again, the pajamas. Okay, remember in Rear Window when they're talking about, oh, I don't have an extra pair of pajamas.
Yeah.
They repeat that in this movie.
Yeah.
When he goes, you wouldn't happen to have an extra pair of pajamas. And she goes, wouldn't I? Oh, and this is the best one in the dining cart. She goes, incidentally, I wouldn't order dessert if I were you. And he's like, I get the message. And she's like, that isn't exactly what I meant. And she's like, the cops are out there.
That's right. Yes.
It's so good. And then, of course, you have the match lighting shot in the dining car, which I just swoon.
Yes.
Like, that's like the sexiest shot.
And he has the sunglasses on because he's trying not to be recognized.
Love those sunglasses. Yeah, and then we're in the room, right? On her train, her private room. And he goes, why are you so good to me? And she says, shall I climb up and tell you why? Jesus. Can you guys just do it already?
One thing I love, too, about this is that the Eva Marie Saint character is a proper woman.
Yeah.
I think in a lot of Hitchcock films, like, the blonde is like a girl.
Yeah.
And she's there for the man to just kind of take charge. And she's super strong in this.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, she's the spy, but, like, she can hold her own. And I love that about her.
Yeah.
And also, I think she was, like, mid-30s when she made this, although I think the character's...
She's supposed to be late 20s. I think 26 or something.
Yeah.
But again, I'm 29 and I still don't look like that.
Because she was actually like 35.
I mean, maybe. But I love when they're like actually making out and She goes, I'm a big girl. And he says, yeah, in all the right places, too.
Yeah. I don't know how that got through.
How are these things getting through? And then she goes, oh, there's only one bed. And he goes, that's a good omen, don't you think? How? How is this possible that this got past? I just don't understand it.
One of the things, whenever I think about this movie, one of the images that comes to my head first is just the two of them kind of like necking.
Yes.
It's like them in soft focus.
Yes.
Just like kissing each other and saying these lines.
These
and like
innuendos.
holding each other
so
really close.
Fun.
Yeah.
And then in the Chicago hotel, she's unbuttoning his pants.
Oh, yeah.
And he says, like, now what could a man do with his clothes off for 20 minutes?
I know.
And then she literally puts her hands on his cock to unbutton the pants.
That's right. Yeah.
It's crazy to me that this passed.
Well,
did.
and the greatest scene that has not been mentioned yet, just the final shot of the movie.
Oh, yeah. That match cut is crazy.
I remember the moment that because, I saw this middle school or whatever. I don't remember the first viewing that that clicked for me what that final shot was supposed to be of the train going into the tunnel.
It's so good.
And I remember too, like my mom who grew up with this movie, she's seen it so many times. And then like I told her what that last shot was. She's like, no. I was like, yes. And she like couldn't believe it. And I was like, yeah, like, what else do you think that would be? Why do you think he would put this cheeky shot? And it happens just as he pulls her up.
The match cut happens. They kiss and it tunnel.
The train goes into a tunnel and this is the end.
It's
the ultimate sort of last little button on this of like, you want sex? Here's your sex.
Yes. It's so good. But
penetration.
Then, with great lust comes great slut shaming after he thinks she betrayed him.
Yeah.
He says to Van Damme at that auction, he goes, I bet you paid a lot for this little sculpture. She's worth every dollar of it. Take it from me.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He gets nasty.
And he goes, what else does... Oh, he says, she puts her heart into her work. In fact, her whole body.
Yeah.
Damn. When he said that, literally, I was like, damn.
But you got all the scandalous lines here.
My God, I love them. I love the lines in this movie.
Yeah.
He says, you have no feelings to her. To her.
Yeah.
He calls her a treacherous little tramp. That's one of my faves. And he says that he hates her for using sex like some people use a fly swatter. Again, straight up saying they had sex.
Yeah, of course.
I'm also obsessed with him not hugging her back in the hotel room. Do you remember? Because he's alive and she goes and hugs him when he comes back.
Yeah.
And his arms are like this. He's not
holding
hugging
him straight
her
up.
back.
Yeah.
It's so funny. But no, one of the many things I love about this movie. What I want to bring up is some plot. Let's just call them plot questions. So when he goes with the police and his mom to the house, that's apparently Van Damme's house. And we later find out it's Van Damme's sister who is pretending to be this Mrs. Who was the UN guy?
Yeah, the UN guy.
Yes. Don't you think she would go and tell her brother, hey, I don't think this is your guy. Like, the man showed up with his mom and the police.
Yeah, you know what?
To try and tell him that this happened to him.
I think you're right.
That's the biggest plot hole.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, you know what? I never thought about that. If he was the secret agent.
Why would he bring his mother and the police to come and do this?
Yeah, you're right.
It's crazy.
You're right.
And then, like, he's a government agent, right? Why would he be wanted for murder, like, in every paper in the country? Even that in and of itself is weird.
Wait, the James Mason character is aware of that, right?
Yes, of course. How can you not be?
Yeah.
It's on everyone recognizes him. Everyone knows him.
Right. But he never makes specific mention of it.
Maybe. He might. He might, because he knows about the killing at the UN.
Right.
Okay, and at the auction, don't you think that they would think it's weird that he's trying to get arrested? Why would a government agent need to be arrested and taken by the police?
That scene is great too.
It's so great, but all the main plot hole is just like, how can Van Damme still believe that this guy is a government agent after all this shit happens?
Right.
And what did Eva Marie say? Like, you know how she tells him about the meeting and like meet them at this deserted road and it's going to be George Kaplan? Did she just lie to him? Like, what if she's working with them
Mm-hmm.
Did she just lie to them and say, I gave him the instructions to meet you guys, not George Kaplan? Must have been.
Yeah, good question.
I know that's a confusing question, but... And then this is my last thing. How did Eva Marie Saint not hear that gunshot go off in the house?
Oh, I know. Well, she does come out.
She's like, what was that? And they're like, nothing. She's like, okay.
I know, guns are loud.
So loud. And she's a government agent. Don't you think she would be suspicious?
Here's the thing, though. And you bring all of those things are so valid.
I know, but it still doesn't matter.
But like the whole point of the movie, and I think in so many ways for a big popular entertainment like this, the whole point of the movie is these set pieces.
100%.
And the plot literally exists to carry you from one set piece to another.
I completely agree.
And so like, it's most of those things you just brought up, I never even really thought about before. Because the movie, again, has this forward momentum. It is long and it is kind of leisurely for what it is, but like it does have this momentum where I never really thought about, like, wait, wouldn't she think this? You know.
Also, I think that he's a little too smart to just be like a Madison Avenue ad guy. Like
he's a Don Draper guy, like he's a boss or something.
I understand, but I don't think Don Draper would be so smart as to do like half the things that he does in this.
Like what?
I don't know, like sneaking into the UN? Or like, after she tears apart the paper from the notepad that says the address, grab a pencil and immediately like, this is what I do in this situation. And sketch and try and find the outline of the pencil marks. Or like causing a ruckus at the auction. Like, who would think of that? Like, I need to get arrested. Like,
I mean, here's the thing. This is the golden age of advertising. And he's like the head of a department, or he's I
agree.
He's a smart, like, you have to be a super smart, on your feet kind of person, nimble person to do that.
No, I agree.
But it's interesting, the Mad Men thing, because I do just want to touch on, I think that this movie is one of the key texts to Mad Men.
For sure.
And sometimes we'll talk about that. The way he's dressed, simply just the advertising guy.
Uh-huh.
And also just the look of the movie, the Saul Bass-ness of the movie.
Yes,
yeah. So I feel like
definitely,
in that way, there's the lines in this.
Yeah. I think you mentioned like the set pieces, and it's so awesome that with Rear Window, we talked so much about how it was constructed and that set was like built from scratch, and how like what a change in this movie. Everything is shot on, well, not everything, but a lot of locations and a lot of set pieces.
Yeah.
To Plaza, like the Plaza elevators, I swooned over. And this movie is really, I love that it's this time shell of like 60s New York, 60s Chicago.
Yeah.
And the UN has some interesting stuff. Like we mentioned that they had to shoot that shot guerrilla style. But the shot of him walking into the building looks like a matte painting.
Yeah.
It is, right?
I think so.
And then also when he's exiting, it's like a matte painting with animation of like a little figure. I love that shot.
Yeah, it's like animated.
It's amazing when he's leaving the UN.
The look of the movie is incredible. It's shot in this beautiful Vista vision. And I also sensed a very strong kind of like Edward Hopper influence on this.
Yeah.
And especially like the crop dusting scene happens, and then the crop duster crashes into the oil truck. And then there's those great shots of the people just like watching it in flames.
Yeah.
That felt like they could have been out of an Edward Hopper painting or something. It was just like Hitchcock's golden period, and he's fully in command of his frame.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, he's mixing these real life locations with these super artificial sets. Like the wilderness set outside of Mount Rushmore is so beautifully on a soundstage and artificial.
I know.
And them scaling Mount Rushmore and all that stuff is like such the glorious set stuff. In fact, we've both seen that backdrop to the Mount Rushmore backdrop because it was hanging in a room at the Academy Museum. I think they just switched it out.
It was a while ago. I went like a while ago and asked about it, and it was gone.
It's sad.
It's been gone a while.
But yeah, it takes up a whole like 2-story room as just the backdrop. And it's the backdrop of Mount Rushmore that's used in like the visitor center scene.
Yeah.
Which is great.
So cool. And then, I mean, you mentioned this, but just like the thrills of this movie, like they're nonstop.
Yeah.
Like the drunk driving bit is very impressive. And like it goes on for so long. Why are you laughing?
Because it's so good.
I know. But it's so long. I never realized how long it is.
Yeah.
And then like the UN murder is crazy. Like when that guy, you think he like realized something when he's looking at the picture, right, of Van Damme.
Yeah.
But really he just got stabbed in the back because he goes,
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my, what? And
it's the sound of a man dying.
It's so good, but of course there's no blood on the knife. But still, like,
what's that thing
very
about
thrilling?
You know, in Return of the King, I guess spoilers if you haven't seen Return of the King, but there's that scene where Wormtongue, I think it's Wormtongue, kills Saruman, the Christopher Lee character.
Yeah.
He only kills him in the extended version. This is cut from the theatrical version. So they're standing on top of this tower, and Wormtongue, Brad Dourif, comes up from behind Christopher Lee and stabs him in the back. And while they were filming that, there's something about like Christopher Lee paused the scene and told Peter Jackson, he's like, I heard men stabbed in the back in the war. This is how they sound. And like that gasp.
It's like that.
Like a certain kind of gasp. But yeah, I think the guy gives in this movie.
Oh my goodness. And then, yeah, that's funny. There's also him being shot by Eve. Like, if you don't know what's happening, it's really crazy.
Yeah, because you don't. That's one of the moments where the audience is behind.
Yes.
Here's what I'll say though about the script, and I think the script is like if I read this script without having seen the movie and like someone presented this to me,
it's like
my jaw
so jumbled.
My jaw would be on the floor. No, because I'm just like, oh my god, the momentum of it and everything. But I think they reveal too soon to the audience that Kaplan doesn't exist. That happens like, I want to say
when they have that
hour
meeting,
into the movie,
right?
Or less than an hour. Maybe it's even like 45 minutes.
It's pretty
They have that meeting, and then the audience is in on it, but Cary Grant is not.
Right.
And Cary Grant spends most of the rest of the movie thinking that Kaplan's real.
Right. And what would happen if they hadn't revealed that? Nothing. Nothing would change until the agent comes and says, actually, he's not real. Like, if you got rid of that scene of them saying Kaplan's not real, nothing would change.
It's kind of an extended scene, too. It kind of goes on a little long.
Yeah.
That was the one scene that kind of bumped me this rewatch. I'm like, did they need to do this right now?
Didn't need to. I don't think they ever needed to until the very end when the government agent tells them, actually, Kaplan is fake.
Yeah.
That
right.
would have been really shocking and like
I think
a good twist.
Yeah, and it almost feels like a studio note, but I think Hitchcock's so powerful at this point in his career that he's not going to like bend to the whim of any studio exec.
Totally.
But it's like, I mean, Hitchcock has this track record of kind of over-explaining things. If we've talked about this at the end of Psycho, at the end of Rebecca, he does this prolonged sort of, this is what you just saw. We don't get that in this movie, thank God, but you do get that scene, which I think is a cut from the same cloth as those other scenes.
Totally.
It's like, we don't need this.
Yeah.
And it kind of brings the film to a halt for a second.
Yeah, I agree. I never thought about that, but you're absolutely right. Let's talk about the crop duster. We didn't really talk about it in detail.
I mean, it's one of those classic scenes. I think like most people know of that scene before you see this movie because it's just
it's like the shower scene from Psycho.
Exactly. It's an iconic piece of pop culture from the middle of the century.
Yes.
But I think I remember when I'm like, okay, so what? He's running from a plane? And I was like, what? And then you see the movie and you're like, oh.
It's so good.
It is honestly one of the best sequences. One of the best like suspense sequences ever in a movie.
I agree. I love the tension in the scene before it actually happens. I love that you see. That's the fun thing about like popular moments and iconic moments because you're waiting for them to happen, but then any hint of them before, it just like, it hits extra hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like in Psycho, right? When he's showing her the bathroom. Oh, that's the bathroom. That moment hits really good because you know that that's coming. In this, it's that guy that's waiting for the bus and he turns around and goes like, oh, there's a crop duster there, but there's no crops. And that's like when you see the plane the first time just in the distance, that's that moment, which I really love.
Look what he does visually too. Because before that, he's just parted with Eve from like, we just got off the whole train sequence.
Yeah.
And then it's almost shot like a Western. You get these really
it is a Western.
long shots of this dusty road and a bus coming from way in the distance, and then he gets
so
off.
Long before it actually happens.
And he waits there, and then a bus goes by, and then a guy gets out on the other side of the road, and it's just like sounds. It's like diegetic sounds, no music.
Yeah.
And it's shot kind of like from high up too. It's like a crane shot or something, and you're just waiting with him.
I know, it's so good.
And by so little happening, it builds so much suspense.
I know.
And immediately pronounces itself like, oh, this is like a big moment.
Yeah, it is so great.
And I think too, the genius of the scene is that the crop duster's there from the beginning.
Yes.
And it's
just working.
It's just working. And you're like, oh, there's a crop duster. And the guy's like, oh, it's dust and crops. But then says that line, right?
Where there aren't any
crops. And then puts that one thing in your brain where you're like, oh, something's a little off here.
And then he gets sprayed. Not only does he run, but he hides in the corn. He gets sprayed. Okay. Yeah. Then tries to stop a truck, goes under it. Like, it doesn't stop. It's like the spray, the run, the truck. Oh, wow, he survived. Oh, my God, the plane is going to crash into the truck.
Yeah.
Like, it's non-stop.
Yeah.
Also, can we just talk about how utterly filthy he would have been?
Oh, I know.
If this was real life.
He's barely scraped up when he gets to the hotel.
Yeah. He looks like normal. Like, there's a few spots on his suit.
No, it's and Cary Grant sells the whole thing too, because he goes from just kind of waiting and bored on his face to then being like, oh, there's something slightly wrong here, to then, oh, I'm being hunted by this crop duster.
Yeah.
And
what a thing to be hunted by. Like, it's so good. And how do you have that scene and also the Mount Rushmore scene in one movie?
Yeah.
Like, how do you have people scaling Mount Rushmore and being chased by a crop duster, plus all the other things that happen in the movie? It's just so impressive that there's these two huge action-y moments.
Well, I think because this movie is such a piece of escapism, I think the crop duster sequence is the main sequence in the movie that feels really grounded. I think because it's shot on location and there's no music and it just feels more palpable. Whereas like something like the Mount Rushmore finale feels very artificial and kind of arty.
For sure.
But I think the Mount Rushmore sequence is a deliriously perfect finale.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that, of course, because where's this movie going to end? We've seen all this crazy shit happen.
Literally.
And it's like these characters would have to go so out of their way to end up on the face of Mount Rushmore, but the script just finds a way to get them there because
his house is there.
Plus, it would be more fun. Like, let's put them up on Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
It's just such a beautiful piece of escapism, and I just love that. Like, there's so much you could read into like the founding fathers imagery or whatever, but I think at its most basic, it's just a great outlandish location to set your climax.
I agree.
I think it's also Mount Rushmore is like one of the great mythological locations in the US because we don't have many.
Yeah.
And that's one where it's like, that's something from like Europe, right? It's like faces carved into the side of a cliff.
Definitely. Definitely.
It's just perfect.
I agree. I love that part.
Yeah.
Can we talk about his mom?
Yes. Who was like the same age as her.
I was going to say, are you ready? Okay. The actress who plays her name is Jessie Royce Landis, and she was born in 1896. Guess when Cary Grant was born?
Like a couple years later.
1904. Oh. So this woman was 8 when she had this child.
Oh my God.
Oh
her
my
line,
God.
You guys aren't really trying to kill my son, are you?
I love that moment so much, in the music right before she speaks and the fact that the music goes out right before she says it.
Yeah.
It's so good. But he's such a mama's boy.
Oh, of course.
He lives with her. She goes, are you going to be home for dinner?
Yeah. I mean, not out of any necessity, but yeah.
Right. And then, like, he's on the phone with her when he gets arrested. And he's on the phone with her when he's in the train station.
Yes.
Like, she is his partner before Eve comes in.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's so funny. I love when he's talking to her in the train station. And, I mean, in the police department. And he goes, they made me drink a whole bottle of bourbon. No, they didn't give me a chaser. It's so good.
That's one of the best lines.
I almost forget. That part is pretty long. The whole, like, drunk driving, police station, courtroom. That's a long sequence.
Yeah. Do you think too long?
No, I enjoy it immensely. I think it's so funny.
I think it adds to the, like, because there's a lot of these kinds of movies where things go wrong and you end up in all these little detours. But the fact that this movie kind of sees each of them through, like, to their logical conclusion makes it feel... You get more wrapped up in it.
Yeah. Well, not quite logical because, again, why would a government agent be on the front page of every newspaper? It's pretty funny.
I want to talk about Martin Landau.
Yeah.
Because I think he's one of the unsung treasures of this movie.
Yes.
And I'm just such a huge fan of his. And he's not in this movie a lot.
Right.
But his scenes are really key.
Yeah.
And I think his performance, he said before that he played the character as gay, which again for Hitchcock,
really?
You know, it's like, look at Rope, right? This runs through a lot of Hitchcock's films. But he said before, he kind of plays the character almost like he's a cat or something.
Interesting.
But yeah, he has this. In fact, there's one line that gives it away, and he says, "Call it my women's intuition." Remember that line?
Oh my God. Yeah.
So again, Hitchcock kind of slipping some more things under the radar there. But yeah, I love his presence in this. And he's so eerie and you can't quite get a feel for him. James Mason, I think especially we know James Mason at this point in 1959, like he's a big actor and people know him. But to have this like newcomer, Martin Landau, where you're like, I can't get a feel for this guy. He's very tall and gaunt and just
creepy looking,
expressionless almost. And but he's perfect. And the finale with him stepping on the
and that's
hands.
when I love that. I love that the shot stays on his feet when he gets shot. And then we just see his foot slip.
Yes.
There's another great shot like that I love, I'm obsessed with, is when we come into the auction and all we see is James Mason's hand on Eva Marie Saint's neck.
Yes.
And that's how we know that they're a couple.
Yes.
And he's like touching her hair. And then it pulls out just from his hand, pulls out to show us this auction. And then when he learns that her and Cary Grant slept together, it's again like this close shot and all we see is his hand like leaving her shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. Like visual storytelling peak.
I know.
And there's so many fun moments like that in this movie. Like when they're talking about throwing her overboard from the plane, they say something. What do they say? I wrote it down. They talk about throwing her over from a great height over water. And as they're saying that, the camera is like going higher.
Yes.
It's so fun.
I know.
Like, that's just like fun. Like, people don't. And I feel so bad saying like we don't get that anymore, but I just feel like we don't. Like, why can't we be cheeky?
I know.
In a cinematic way.
We lost humor, I think, at a certain point in our serious films, our serious filmmaking.
Yeah.
But no, I think too, for everything we pointed out, like Hitchcock is just forever in the books.
He's forever one of the greatest. Like, he could do no wrong. Honestly, I don't think I've seen a Hitchcock movie I really don't like. Even Suspicion, which I didn't like that much, still liked it.
Yeah, the worst Hitchcock movie is like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's someone that just cannot be overrated because he deserves every bit of praise.
I absolutely agree. And I'm so glad that we've done 3,
this is our
4.
Fourth. Yeah.
Let's see how many are on the top 250.
Yeah, I'd love to do a few more.
I'm sure we will.
In terms of like Cary Grant roles, and he has so many iconic roles and iconic performances, somehow this almost feels like the most iconic.
Really?
What do you think of? Not saying it's my favorite Cary Grant role, but it's like...
It is iconic.
And I think
that shot, just him in the plane, like that is like so.
And because he's like middle-aged here, or even slightly older than middle-aged, but like has this like gray fox, silver fox, sorry, feel to him in the suit and everything. There's just something about him where it's like, and he's like kind of a smart ass and like in over his head. It just feels like if I had to name like the most iconic.
Probably most iconic. Also because it's color.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you can get there's like His Girl Friday and like you can get lost in like the black and white Cary Grant roles.
The screwball stuff.
Yeah, Bringing Up Baby,
Philadelphia Story.
This stands out, I think, partially because it's color.
Yeah.
And like that crop dusting scene is so big.
Well, it's so funny because, I mean, we talked about this with Gary when we talked about Jimmy Stewart, but certainly here with Cary Grant, like it's almost like two completely different Cary Grants. If you look at, let's say, him in Arsenic and Old Lace versus him here. Yeah. That's an entirely different actor.
I know.
Or him in like Blonde Venus with Marlene Dietrich or something. Like he's just like, there's so much more to him.
Yeah.
And I think he kind of gets credit for just like doing the Cary Grant thing.
Yeah.
But he could do the fact that he plays this very straight-laced kind of like sort of powerful guy that just drinks, champagne all day and gets thrust into this situation and kind of has like this smart ass attitude about it.
Yeah.
Plays that just as well as like, the goofy Cary Grant in all the other movies.
Yeah.
So
I love when they throw him in the library and he's like, "Don't rush, I'll catch up on my reading."
Oh, I know. It's so good. I think it's so part of it is like Cary Grant, there's so much danger at every turn in this, and he kind of just shrugs it all off.
Yeah, he's just cool.
Which is why when you do see him get worried, like in the crop dusting sequence, you're like, oh shit, like he's in danger.
Even with like even when Eve is about to like fall off the cliff, he's like, "Come on, Mrs. Thornhill." And it's like, no, she's gonna die. And then of course it's like 1 second long because it's the match cut. But
yeah.
It's funny.
This is so good.
It's so good. Sight and Sound?
Let's do Sight and Sound. What's your favorite sight?
Okay, it's, this was hard because I do love the match a lot, but it's the scene where they pull up in the forest, right? And we're on the car that Cary Grant is in. He's pretending to be dead. And the camera just pulls out and turns into this 2-shot where they're standing so far from each other.
It's beautiful.
It's perfection.
And it's soundstage perfection, too.
It really is.
Absolutely. Great shot.
Thanks.
I have a lot. I mean, there's so many because it's like, I love all the establishing shots in this, like establishing the mansion, establishing the national park. Like there's just the UN or whatever. But really, I'm going to have to go with the scene where he's drunk behind the wheel because he's so fucking funny. And honestly, too, with like my sister and a few friends of mine, like we always talk about how hilarious that scene is where he's behind the wheel. Like his drunk acting is just hilarious.
It is funny.
And it's just even also preceding that, I love the shot where they force him down
and the cup
and they start
bourbon.
pouring, and while they're pouring, the music's like dun dun. And also they pour a huge glass of bourbon that would kill most people, I think.
Yeah.
So he can actually hold his alcohol relatively well if he survived that.
Totally. He says something funny, like he's like, it was assault with a gun and a bourbon and a sports car.
Yeah. I know, it's so good.
It is good. My
sound,
favorite sound. Well, I mentioned all the lines I love, and I just love them all so much, and it would probably be impossible to choose. So I'm going with music, and it's the music in the moment when they are necking, actually.
I can already hear it before even hearing the clip.
Beats flying, doesn't it?
We should stop.
Immediately.
I ought to know more about you.
Well, what more could you know?
You're an advertising man, that's all I know.
That's right. Oh, train's a little unsteady.
Who isn't?
What else do you know?
You've got taste in clothes, taste in food.
And taste in women. I like your flavor.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it really is.
It feels like a piece of classical music, like old classical music.
Yeah.
And it's it's gorgeous.
Yeah. Absolutely. We're spoiled,
I know.
I mean, they were spoiled then.
Yeah.
To have like Bernard Herrmann. To think that at the same time, like Bernard Herrmann and Ennio Morricone and stuff were like the composers. And like, who do we have now? I mean, there's some good people, but like no one approaching that level anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Not to say that all movie music is bad, because I don't think that. But we've shifted, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but we've shifted towards more sort of like ambient electronic. And I think people do that really well, but we don't have these big swelling scores
I don't
anymore.
think it's the composers. I think that it's the film culture that's changed.
I think too, people just aren't really classically trained now like they were then. So I think people like Bernard Herrmann and Morricone, like their inspirations were classical.
I think they still are. I just think people don't want that anymore.
Which is sad.
Yeah. It is sad. What's your favorite sound?
My favorite sound is the phone call with his mother from the police station.
Yeah.
And again, maybe I have some weird hang up with him in this movie being drunk.
Yeah.
But also, like, ever since I first saw this movie, some of these lines just live rent free in my head. Yeah. So here's the clip.
Oh, Mother? Mother, this is your son, Roger Thornhill. Yeah. Wait a minute, I'll find out. Where am I?
Glen Cove Police Station.
Glen Cove Police Station. No, Mother, I have not been drinking. No, these two men, they poured a whole bottle of bourbon into me. No, they didn't give me a chaser. No.
Come on, let's go.
Well, I'm not finished yet.
Yes, you are. Come on.
Mother, I gotta go now. Will you get my lawyer right away and come out and bail me out?
Tomorrow morning, tell her.
Tomorrow morning, he says. Oh, I don't know, I'll ask her. She wants to know who says.
Sergeant Emil Klinger.
Sergeant Emil. Sergeant Emil Klinger.
It's like, especially like Glen Cove Police Station. Like that always pops into my head. Or Sergeant Emil Klinger.
Yeah. Emil, really?
Like those are just always in my head.
So funny.
It's just, he's too good.
He is good.
He's so good.
Yeah, he's 55 in this.
Wow.
Yeah,
he looks great.
He looks amazing.
And he gets to take a shirt off too.
And he looks amazing.
And he's super tan.
Oh my God, his freaking tan.
Maybe a little too tan.
His tan
got
is
a little
crazy. Burnt. His tan in To Catch a Thief is really strong too.
Yeah.
What does Pauline Kael have to say?
All right, we do have
North
Pauline
by
Kael.
Northwest?
You ready?
Yeah.
Here's what Pauline Kael said. The title from Hamlet's I Am But Mad Northwest. When the wind is southerly, I know a hawk from a handsaw.
Yeah, can I just say, someone had asked about that title and Hitchcock was like, no, that's not.
Oh, well, she's claiming it is, but yeah.
Okay.
If Hitchcock said no, I mean, I believe that.
Yeah.
She says it's a clue to the mad geography and improbable plot. The compass seems to be spinning as the action hops all over the U.S. People rush about in the wrong direction, and for no particular reason, the hero, played by Cary Grant, heads north by Northwest Airlines. Though not as cleverly original as Strangers on a Train or as cleverly sexy as Notorious, this is one of Hitchcock's most entertaining American thrillers. It goes on too long, and the script seems shaped to accommodate various set pieces, such as the chase on Mount Rushmore, that he wants to put in. But it has a classic sequence in which a crop-dusting plane tries to dust Grant, and it has a genial, sophisticated comic tone. Just about everybody in it is a spy or a government agent, except Grant, who's mistaken for one. His performance is very smooth and appealing, and he looks so fit that he gets by with having Jessie Royce Landis, who was born the same year he was, playing his mother. I think she's wrong there. The heroine is Eva Marie Saint, who doesn't seem quite herself here. Her flat voice and effectless style suggest a Midwestern Grace Kelly. And a perverse makeup artist has turned her face into an albino African mask.
What?
See, that's...
These takes that she has sometimes are crazy.
Sometimes I think it's just like a sign of the times too, but she would like really attack women's looks.
Physically, yeah.
Mostly women.
Yeah.
Which is a problematic thing with her, but... And that's the end of it.
That's what she had a problem with?
Yeah.
She looks great. Even Marie Saint looks beautiful in this.
Yeah. And she called her makeup artist perverse.
That is rich. That is hilarious.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, I mostly agree with her.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, especially with this is just like a purely fun, thrills, American adventure.
Yeah, and I think it's really light on its feet.
Yeah.
It is a little long, and I do agree a couple things. Mostly that scene we talked about where they reveal Kaplan being a decoy.
Totally unnecessary.
Could be clipped, but yeah, I mean, as far as Hitchcock's films go that are just breezy and entertaining, I think this is the top of the heap.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just effortless.
I agree.
And I think, like you said, the Bond movies and the Bond producers have even admitted, like, yeah, North by Northwest was the blueprint for Dr. No and when we were starting this series. So hugely influential. Hugely
That's probably
influential.
why it's been on the list for...
Well,
I mean, it's iconic.
It's iconic.
But see, that's the funny thing is, like, it is such a light movie, but again, so revered.
Yeah.
Because it's been so influential and it's so iconic. And
I think, too, outlandish. Like, a lot of these films that followed in its wake are a tad bland. And I think when you want someone on the run and it's this big escapist thing, you want them to end up on the face of Mount Rushmore and all this stuff. Like, you want them to go there.
Yeah.
And I think the Bond movies mostly understood the assignment. And, like, even in the first Bond movie, you have this, like, metal-made dragon that breathes fire and, like, secret lair. And it's like... I love those sort of fantasy elements in this stuff. Not that this movie leans into fantasy really, but it's big and outlandish, which I love.
Yeah.
Because who needs this to feel real?
Yeah.
I don't need it to feel real.
No. No real. We don't like real.
Letterboxd?
Yes.
I think we both pulled this one. It's great though. It's 4.5 stars. It's the most popular one on Letterboxd, and it's 2.5 hours of almost fucking, and then a trained penis goes into a mountain vagina.
That's so good that I did pull that.
I think Hitchcock would love that description, honestly.
That is so funny. Okay, 3.5. Hitch, parentheses, at his most, close parentheses, cock.
I mean, yeah.
So good.
The rest of mine I pulled were bad, and these are too good. I'm going to try to get through them without busting up. 0.5 star. Not only is this an overrated classic featuring a bunch of dusty idiots, but it also led to the big old bear being taken away from me. They kept calling him Shaker. Isn't that the other bear?
What?
Big Al might piss. I don't know.
What?
I loved bunch of dusty idiots.
But what is this person talking about? Someone wrote 1 star. Silly, unsatisfying, and immoral.
Immoral?
What?
How is it immoral?
Because there's sex.
They're not married?
I don't know who this person is, but no, we don't want you here.
Here's another winner. 0.5 star. Shit by Shitfest.
How'd you find these good ones? 5 stars. After watching National Treasure 2 and the inclusion of Mount Rushmore in it, naturally I had to cleanse my palate.
I've never seen any of the National Treasure
I
movies.
think I only saw the first one.
Was it good?
I don't remember.
0.5 star. Dumbest movie I've ever watched. Whoever rates this over a 2 is a dick rider and a film bro.
What?
And then one more. 0.5 star. Puta mierda. Which means bitch shit.
Wait.
Puta mierda?
What does that mean?
It's like shit. So it's like puta is bitch.
Bitch.
Bitch shit.
And shit.
Yeah. I don't know why. It just cracks me up so much for something like North by Northwest that's so good and immortal.
That people
reading
hate it.
these dumb like one-liners.
It's hilarious.
There's so many reviews like, oh, I had to watch this for film class and I suffered through it. I'm like, oh my God. If you're suffering through North by Northwest, like there's a problem.
I agree.
Like you cannot like this movie, but to be like, oh, it's so boring. Like what? It's not.
I agree.
Oh boy. Well, this was North by Northwest, our 4th Hitchcock so far on the show.
So fun. Every single time.
Yeah. It was fun to do the back-to-back because I'm like in a little Hitchcock mood now, you know?
I am too.
And it was just National Hitchcock Day.
Yeah.
The day
What is that,
after.
like his birthday or something?
No, it's just a decided upon day. It's not even his birthday. It's just like, oh, this is National Hitchcock Day.
That's funny. How
But
did you even hear about that?
I didn't even know. It was a day after we released our Rear Window episode, but I just saw people posting about it and I
So
Googled it
funny.
and I was like, oh, I guess this is it.
Hmm.
I'm like still kind of in the mood, you know, like I'm going to keep going.
Yeah. I think I will too.
Yeah. I want to cross some of the ones off my list that I've never seen.
Yeah.
Anyway, next film is City Lights, Chaplin City Lights.
Fun.
So we'll be doing that next week.
Very fun.
Another just like stone cold classic.
I know. These are all in the middle.
Yeah. Well, Jackie, it's been a pleasure trekking from New York to Mount Rushmore with you.
I agree. And Chicago, don't forget.
Don't forget. And yeah. Come back next week for City Lights. Until then, I'm Greg.
I'm Jackie.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Seen and Heard is an official podcast of the Arroyo Film Club. If you want to drop us a line, you can find us at hello@seenandheardpod.com or on Instagram @seenandheardpod.